like, nah, I got the better parlay. Argue about the spread, it's a fierce debate, but when it comes to Wildcats, they align their fate. Blitz the bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums.
All right, we are back for another episode of the Blitz the Bookie podcast. I'm Charlie Winkle, joined by Anthony Roberts. It is Monday, May the 5th, and we made it through another awesome Derby week, capped off by Sovereignty winning the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby. By Derby Day, Anthony and I both had changed our top picks from what we had on the show last week. Anthony was kind of forced to change his top pick when Grande scratched out. And I really liked my top four, so I was just trying to figure out which of my top four I liked. Last week on the show, I had Final Gambit as my top pick. I did keep him in my top four, but I ended up on another horse too. And me and Anthony both landed on the same horse, which I thought was a little bit surprising.
Never happens. Like,
does it?
I feel like sometimes it's just a man's pride, but that's kind of rare.
And we landed on the number 18, Sovereignty. Anthony, how does it feel to pick a Derby winner?
It felt good.
Awesome.
It felt good. And
how many have you had in your lifetime? Legit.
Three.
Legit, your top pick.
Three. Okay, but I will say this, and I've talked to you about this a little bit. I feel like everybody picks the Derby a little different. If you listen to some of the professional shows, like, you listen to Jerry Bailey or listen to somebody else, and they're just going to tell you who they think is going to win. And there's nothing the matter with that. Might be the right way to do it, okay? But for me, it's always been in the Derby is look for value. I've never been the guy to pick the favorite. Really, Sovereignty being a top 2 or 3 choice, that was kind of unusual for me. Now, I usually don't go with the longest shots, but I'm trying to find the value in the race. You go to the racetrack with me, you'll hear the word value, because to me, there's odds, and that's what you're trying to do. So everybody picks it different. The point I'm making is I've never been the guy that really picks the favorite. So, yeah, I've only got 3, but keep that in mind. And then for somebody that does just try to pick the very best horse, it's just a different way to play it. And I don't think either way is wrong or either way is right. But it did feel good because Grande was a late scratch. Rapoli was pretty upset about that. So it really threw me for a loop. I had a bunch of horses I kind of liked odds-wise. But by the time I picked Grande, I was pretty much 1A, 1B. Grande and Sovereignty. But I was going to stay with Grande because he was my pick from the get-go and he was more value. Well, of course, when Grande scratched, it was Sovereignty. And I even tried to talk myself off from him, but I was looking for odds other places. And I always play one $100 ticket, Charlie, to win on the Derby winner. Now, I play some other tickets too, but that's my big ticket. And I'm glad I put it on him. Paid $8.98 for 100. So I had the
same ticket.
Yeah,
I had the same ticket.
I had the exacta for 5, which I should have had for more. The one I'm upset about is the try. I should have had a $5 try wheel. I play those tickets all the time. I liked all 3 of those horses. I didn't have that. I was upset. Now Charlie had the big win. Tell him what you had, Charlie.
I had the try, only for $1 though, which I was kind of pissed about. But I had the super.
There it is. I thought he was gonna. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I thought it was gonna be really big money. My mind. So when I think of Derby supers, sometimes I think of life-changing money because we've seen those before in the Derby. And when he hit it, I was thinking, Charlie, that's gonna be a good. Just 20 horses in the field, but I really didn't slow down and think. Top 3 were kind of the it horses. And Final Gambit, they'd bet him down to 17, 16 to 1 instead of 30 to 1. So really, when you look at it from afar, it wasn't as bad as maybe what I seen. But when I first seen it, I thought he was going to get paid like 14, 15,000. I was way off, but it was still a nice hit.
I thought it was going to be way more too. I've had people say that they thought that was actually the best payout out of all of them was the super. But to me, I thought it was going to pay a lot more too. Took a long time for him to post the payouts. And while they did that, they had me shut out. I couldn't see my bets.
Yeah.
And I had too many bets in. I couldn't keep track of what I had. I was 99% sure that I had the super. I was about 90% sure that I had the try. And I was damn near 75% sure that I had a nice exacta, and I did not have the exacta. So I got the win bet.
That's the only one I had was the exacta.
Well, so we got them all then.
Yeah,
We
no,
both
it
got
is.
the win bet. You got the exacta. I got the try and the super. It didn't pay as good as I thought, but I'm going to tell you what, I have never even come close to pegging the Derby like I did. My top 4 was the super. I texted it to 2 people.
It's legit.
10 minutes
He was on it. He
10
was on
minutes
it. That
before
was his horses.
I'm actually happy. I texted it to my brother.
Yep. Super
Who-
happy for Michael.
Yeah,
Super
I
happy
texted
for
it to
him.
Michael probably 6 minutes before the race. After the race, Michael calls me, says he bet it.
You know what I loved about it all? We was at a party and Charlie's mom was in town, and you know, they were waiting on the results and didn't post them for a while. And I think she was dead serious. She's like, I think they're trying to figure out the money they owe y'all. I thought that was cool. I was like, hell yeah.
She was standing there with us the whole time. I kind of walked around the corner away from everybody because I was nervous. I didn't know how big it was going to be. I thought it was going to be bigger. But look, I'm not greedy. I've never pegged the Derby like that. It felt really good. It was good. Anthony, I know I told you this. I was just watching the 18.
Yeah.
I was watching Sovereignty. He was my top pick. While the race is going on, a lot of stuff going on. It was muddy as hell. Hard to tell who's who and where they're at. So I knew where Sovereignty
The Godolphin Blues easy to find too.
I knew where he was at, and I was focused on him. As soon as he passed the finish line, I turned around and started celebrating. Walked into the kitchen, turned back around, come through the living room, walked outside. I'm yelling. Excuse my voice because I've been yelling all week. That's probably why I sound like I do. But it took me probably 2 to 3 minutes before I walked back into the living room and said, who came in second and third?
You know what it is when you're at a party. Okay, so a couple things, and we'll talk about them more, but just touching on it. When you're at a party, you're at an event, you're drinking at the track, you don't get to hear the sound. Like, so as I've watched the replay probably 60 times. That's just what I do. That's one of my favorite things to do. We'll talk about that as well. But they had made a comment, if you were just sitting at home watching it, that journalism made his move. So, but we didn't hear that. So everybody's muddy. You're locked in on your horse. And that's just kind of the way it is. I had no clue that was journalism they were in a battle with down the stretch there. So we'll get into the Derby, but that's all the things. When you're at the track, when you're at the Derby, you just don't get as much information. And plus, you might be drinking. There's a lot. I want to go over a lot of things as we talk about that. But as we get into that, just know that that's some of the things you fight, whether you're at the Derby or you're drinking or you're at a big party.
Yeah. So let's just start at the beginning, Anthony. Tuesday, Kids Derby.
We're going to officially call out the Kids Day. What do you think, Charlie?
It's Kids Derby.
You
That's
you
what I
got
tell my
Derby,
kids.
you got Wednesday. We call it the Kids Derby.
Yep. We take the kids. We let them. I bet a little bit, but I did not bet much at all. Just let the kids have fun.
He's too busy making those picks for the boys. Too busy
So,
making the bets.
yeah. Look, Kids Derby is awesome.
It is, man.
It's fun. I'm glad that I do it with my kids, but I will say it was a little stressful. Anthony.
Sure.
Charlie loses his very first ticket that he bets within 2 minutes.
That's my twin.
Of betting it. He lost it. We could not find it. Searched everywhere. We didn't even go anywhere. We were still next to the machine that
It
we
happens.
betted at.
It happens.
It was gone. So that was a learning experience for him. Luckily, his horse lost. Nate finally gets a winner, second or third race. He rips his winning ticket right in half. Not on purpose. He didn't do it on purpose. He didn't want to put the ticket in his pocket. He was holding it the whole time, from the time we make the bet till the time you're trying to cash it. He's got it in his hand the whole time.
You're going to have a problem with Nate, Charlie. I'm just going to let you know that, listen, that was me when I was young. I could, listen, the boys, they got fatigued with it, and then they were just making picks and hanging out, the older kids were. Nate's a little younger than everybody else. But Nate, all the way up to the last race, is trying to ask me questions, like real racing questions. Like, he's getting deep with it, and he's dead serious. He just was. And like, he had heard me say that. And so after a minute, I think he asked me another one on purpose. But up until then, he didn't think I was watching him, but I was watching him, dude. He's locked in. He was
asking more questions on Saturday at the Derby party. He was doing the same thing. Asking, I could barely look at the horses that I was trying to bet because he was asking me every question in the program. He probably knows how to tell you wet turf. He tell you the inner turf. I think we learned that this weekend. Me and Anthony both learned that. You asked Brandon that day. And
yeah, I didn't know what the dot meant.
I heard you ask him that, but I didn't hear the symbol you asked. Then about an hour and a half later, I asked him the same thing. And I said, is that the same thing Anthony asked you? He was like, yeah. But yeah, Nate, he wants to know it all. And I'm going to say for 9 years old, he can read the program pretty damn good. Damn good right now.
So, as the weekend went on, I watched my son. He wanted to bet. It was just, to me, for him, I don't think it was really about studying. He wanted to have a bet, and he wanted the competitive spirit of it. And so, Charlie, you know this, but, I grew up as a kid. I gambled a lot, and I was just around it, brought up around it. And I've never really wanted Rex to gamble. I just don't. Been fun for me. I win some, I lose some. But over the years, I've lost a lot of money and spent a lot of time doing it. And so, once I seen that he was kind of almost into it too much after it all, I had to come home and have the talk with him about, a lot of people gamble, lose a lot of money, and
on Derby night.
I did, dude. I did. I had to, dude.
Should have at least waited till Sunday.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. He was too into it.
I agree, because it is a balance when you have kids. If it's a balance for me too, Anthony. It's hard to hide it completely. Yeah, it's not even that I want to hide it, but
I know what you're saying.
I want him to understand, just like you do. I want him to understand that you have to do it responsibly, or it can become a big problem.
It can be a drug.
So yeah, Charlie lost a ticket, Nate ripped a ticket, and then a couple races later, we make about 6 bets, and I look, and we done bet Turf Paradise. We didn't even bet Churchill Downs. So, fun day with the kids, but a little bit stressful.
I didn't tell you this part because I knew you was already stressing. Okay, I didn't tell you this part, but I look over it, and I'm not taking up from mine because mine wasn't there. Rex is just a little bit more reserved, and Nate is a little bit more reserved. But Charlie and Levi, they almost got us kicked out there a bunch. They couldn't get off the machine. They start at the very end. They start getting pretty confident. They're gonna go over that machine and start messing with it and start making some bets. And they had some 87-cent vouchers and $1 vouchers. We were making bets for them, but they must have got a hold of some money, and they were trying to make bets with that money. They're up on the machine. I said, boys, I know you got to be 18 to make. I mean, they're trying to make bets. So I had to get them off the machines.
It's all good.
It was all great. It was all good. I just didn't want them to get in trouble.
Yeah, as the day went on, they wanted to kind of know how to hit the buttons on the machine. So I was showing them. But I was with them most of the time. But you're saying they snuck over to the machine.
Dude, they was on one, like they had a line behind them. I was like, guys, he's adults. They're taking his fucking kids in front of me. Somebody trying to get their bets up.
That probably happened when I was trying to get the Turf Paradise
I think it might have been.
Yeah. I was trying to get Turf Paradise canceled, and the lady couldn't. She only could cancel one of my tickets for some reason. And I ended up betting probably, I don't know, a handful of dollars on Turf Paradise Race 2. Lost.
Oh, you loved it.
Little did I know it was a 300-yard race.
That's all right.
It was over in about 8 seconds.
Yeah. I love a lot about Oaks Derby day and week. The thing that I hate the most, it's not much, but the thing I hate the most is the inexperienced tellers.
Yes.
If you find a good one that that's a regular teller, because they get a lot of temps.
Yep.
Because they don't need that many throughout the year. Oh, it can aggravate you so bad. They don't know their ass from their hand. I mean, it can be very bad. Some of them are
about that. We were trying to one day, and we'll get into it, but we were trying to put our group bet in.
Yep.
And we had to bounce, I think, the 3 different windows to be able to get somebody to put it in.
I kept telling Charlie, they don't know, Charlie. Come on. They don't know. And Charlie was trying to be nice to myself. They don't know, dude. They don't know. Let's go to another one. We're trying to get the pick 5 up with a minute to go.
Yeah, about two minutes to post, and we're trying to get a pick 5 in. So it was a good time with the kids. They got some winners. I think all the kids at least got one. It was packed on Tuesday, though.
It was a good crowd.
It was packed, and they are charging an arm and a leg for everything out there.
Look,
go ahead and tell your story about Tuesday.
I'll get onto another rant about it. Okay, listen, I love Churchill Downs.
No, this has to be told. This
Okay,
has to be told.
Okay, I love Churchill Downs. Love Churchill Downs. I support them. I'll back them when they give them the tax breaks back in the early 2000s because they needed them. For the casinos, they needed them. And I've always paid their high prices. So on Derby and Oaks, it's all inclusive, so you don't pay nothing. You pay for it on the ticket on the front side. You pay for it. It ain't free. You pay for it, and everything is just all inclusive when you go in. So on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I feel like every year prices are, they're going up like everything else. But this year, a mixed cocktail drink was $22. So you got to tip a couple bucks. You're talking $25 for a drink. Me and my son had got a hamburger, a fry, and a drink, and it was like $31. I drew my line at $25. I always buy drinks when I'm at the track if I'm out there on Derby week. And of course, on Oaks and Derby, it's all inclusive, so it don't matter. But I drew my line. I did not drink Tuesday or Thursday. I was not paying $25 for a drink. Of course, I brought in my own bourbon on Thursday. The Tuesday we were with the kids. I really didn't want to drink. But $25, $31 for a burger, fry, and drink. Look, Churchill, I know you're smarter than me, but I'm going to tell you, the liquor lines on those days were not as long as what they normally are. I don't think that's the right strategy. I just don't.
Well,
and they're smarter than me.
The liquor prices have been up. They've been $22 for the last couple of years.
Have they?
Tell about the other price that you found out about on Tuesday.
To get into the betting thing?
No, in the gift shop.
Oh yeah. Okay. So so we're walking down to the paddock, and I wanted a nice Derby polo. I never like stuff like that. I never try to get T-shirts from events or anything, but they have a nice store there, all the Derby memorabilia, and wanted a nice Derby polo. I went in there. I knew it was going to be expensive. I'm no dummy. I'm thinking it's at least going to be $90 for a polo shirt.
Because a regular polo pretty much is about $50-$60 anyway.
Yeah.
So you knew
it was going to be $90, maybe even $100. I get in there, Charlie. It's $165 for a polo shirt. With tax, you're looking at $180. Nothing special about it. But $100 for a Kentucky Derby polo shirt, $180.
Who is buying? Well, it's definitely not locals. They're doing that for the people coming in town. But $160?
65 plus tax.
That's ridiculous.
Dude, you sure drinks have been 22? I thought they'd been like 17 or 18.
Maybe they weren't exactly 20. I feel like they were 20 something last year.
How much was a beer? 15? Was a beer 15? Plus tip?
This year?
Yeah,
I think it's 15, $16.
Dude, that's ridiculous. I don't even mind. We go to a lot of events. I am a spender, guys. If I'm going somewhere, I'm going to have a good time. But at some point, you got to draw a line, and they hit my point. So it is what it is. So Tuesday was fun. Kids' Day.
Packed.
Yep.
It was packed out there.
It was Wednesday. We went out there Wednesday. Me and Charlie went out there without the kids. Went with his buddy Brandon. I think Wednesday and then talking to other people. That was the least busiest day.
It definitely was.
Yep. Which I was really surprised. There was hardly no lines. I mean, there was plenty of people out there, but just compared to Tuesday, it wasn't that way. I didn't go on Thursday. I took the day off, did some things I needed to do to get ready for Oaks, which we were going to. Charlie took his mother Thursday. Is that right, Charlie?
Yeah. Took my mom. Had a great day. But
big crowd?
Yeah, it was a big crowd. But the first thing I noticed, Anthony, when I got in there, I used the owner's pass.
Right.
So we walk in the Longfield gate. We walk down, and where you can turn right and go out into the grandstands right there by the finish line.
Right.
Couldn't get in. They were looking for wristbands on Thursday.
Yeah.
They didn't do that last year. You could walk. So for the first handful of races, we couldn't even get to the track. I was pissed. We had to hang out and watch the first few races from the paddock. Couldn't even see the track.
You couldn't get out to the track.
Could not get out to the track with my owner's pass. They wanted a wristband on Thursday.
Not to get into the paddock, but to get out to the track.
Yeah.
Right? So you had to have a ticket or
a wristband.
Wow.
Couldn't believe it.
Okay.
First time I've ever been out there besides Oaks and Derby. Those are the only 2 days I've ever known them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing it on Thursday. So I was a little bit disappointed at the beginning because I'm thinking, man, I bring my mom out here and she's been to the track before. So she's seen the track. She's been out there before, but I wanted to go out and see the track, see the races.
Did you get a wristband or did you go just sneak in? Did you go out and buy a ticket?
Here's what happens. I know we've mentioned on this show before a guy I know that tends to find his way into
Yeah.
events. Well, just so happened he shot me a text while he was out there and asked me where I was at. He said he was upstairs eating food at the free buffet. So I said, well, come on down and get me. He comes down. He says he's got a secret elevator for us. So we make our way up to the 3rd floor. We didn't go up to where he was at. He was actually up on the 4th floor, but he just took us up to the 3rd floor. We ended up right on the finish line on the 3rd floor.
So you know what's crazy? I've not told you this yet. So it's funny you say that about your buddy sneaks in. So I'd seen a couple buddies of mine that I know they've always snuck in. That has always been their thing they've done. And they always end up on the roof. I always see them on Facebook. I would have bet you $1 million that they were working for like some vendor up there or something. I seen one of them. He said, no, we sneak in every year up there. They're up on like Millionaires Row, up on the roof, dude. They got video of the Oaks race, Derby race. They are sneaking on the roof of that place. They dress kind of professional and they have some kind of crazy badge they have made up. I can show you the stuff. So they do this every year.
I know where the elevator,
But
I know where the secret elevator's at.
But I know where that elevator is too. Is he talking about the one as you get up in the clubhouse and it's kind of around the corner and right there?
We can't tell nobody.
I got you.
We can't release that information.
But anyhow, how do they stay up there? I mean, do they just keep moving around? Do they look important?
I don't know, but that'd be a hell of a seat up there.
They got
a hell of a view.
Yeah, they do. I really believe they worked for somebody up there and they were just saying they were sneaking in. They said it right in front of their wives and everything, and they weren't involved in it.
Good for them.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome.
Good for them.
And they do it every year. I think they're just used to seeing them by now.
Yeah, we actually we ended up with some free drinks up there and everything. So
sweet.
Yeah, he hooked us up. Leave it to the king of sneaking in.
Yeah.
Mom won. She had 3 winners in a row that day.
Good
she didn't
deal.
win huge, but she had 3 winners in a row.
She wasn't losing.
Pick 3. I wish she'd have bet a pick 3 because she'd have hit it.
Tuesday, did I win Tuesday? No,
Tuesday I lost with the kids. Wednesday I lost when me, you, and Brandon went. I lost.
I won a little bit that day. Wasn't no big day by no means, but I won a little bit.
And I lost on Thursday.
Thursday I won good. Didn't even go to the track. I bet a couple races with my dad, just betting online.
Well, you know why?
Yeah.
Because you could concentrate.
Yeah,
more.
I had a really good day betting like 4 races. A nice day.
It's hard to concentrate when you're out on the track, especially if you're trying to have fun.
Have your game plan ready. Have your bets ready. Have your game plan ready.
Absolutely.
Even on Derby. My biggest advice to myself for next year, you need to sit down, Anthony, and look, I bet a lot heavier on Derby than I do most races. It's Derby. I have my main bet, but I have some backup bets, and I'm betting supers and tries and dabbling a little bit of everything. You really need to plan your bets because I'll be honest with you, I was a little upset I didn't have the try. And I think a lot of that was just not planning my bets. But last year that paid off when I didn't plan my bets because I had that Wise Day in Sierra Leone exacta I didn't even know I had. So sometimes the madness pays off. Sometimes the madness don't pay off.
Especially when you're at the track, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff to see. People watching, beautiful women. There's stuff just going on everywhere. It's hard to focus.
It's everything. You can't see the biases. You can't hear the commentary. You can't
trying to walk back and forth to the paddock to see the horses, and next thing you know, there's 6 minutes left until the race.
It's bad.
And I ain't even picked my horses yet. Then you got to go over and try to get in a line or find a machine that doesn't have kids on it. It is a battle. So I will say I can focus so much more when especially at my house. Like I had trouble focusing at the Derby party.
Oh, I guarantee.
Well, for one, I had Nate on my hip,
and you don't have
every question,
and you don't have no voice either. When you're at home, listen, I love what I do for Derby. I love what I do for Oaks, being involved. But hands down, the best seat is in your basement on a big screen TV with nobody around. You have your book pulled out. You get to hear everything, see everything. They give the best coverage.
I might need to try that for Derby one time. Just staying home with my family.
That ain't no fun. That ain't no fun.
Turn it, because you're right. You don't never hear it.
You don't hear about track biases.
No, you don't hear any of the coverage on TV. And they actually say the coverage is pretty good.
I felt like, especially Derby Day, once the mud started, that on Oaks Day before the mud, I feel like it was all speed. We talked about that with Brandon, and they weren't putting water on the track, I guess because they were anticipating the rain. Well, once the rain come, it was favoring closers. I mean,
Tuesday was all speed on Tuesday. Yep. Wednesday we went.
As soon as the rain came in.
all speed on Wednesday as well. It was kind of crazy early in the week.
And it started turning. Turning.
Yeah.
I even mentioned it to you. I said, dude, the speed's not winning as much because all the jockeys start gunning it for the lead at that point, because they want to be on the front end. Their Derby Day, it was hard to win on the front end. Everything was dying out on the front end. The slop got them tired, and I don't feel like nobody wanted to be on the inside. Ask Citizen Bull. Him and what was that horse's name? The two, they took a right hand turn out of the gate trying to get off that rail.
Yeah,
nobody wanted no part of that rail.
So then we had Friday, the big day for us, because we had seats in the grandstands. No, not grandstands. We was in. I mean, I guess it's
grandstand clubhouse.
Yeah,
third floor. That's where we've been sitting every year. I would like to be on the finish line, but the finish line is a little bit more pricier ticket. You're still on the same third level.
So one thing that I didn't note earlier, last week I said it was going to rain. The weather was looking like it was going to rain every day, and then it was going to be nice on Derby. And it barely rained any of the days. Friday, it did rain for about 30 minutes out there. It delayed it a little bit, and it rained pretty hard. But it was only, a half an hour?
Thought we was going to get a tornado for a minute.
I
got it on video.
It got a little windy, but after that, it was fine. But Derby Day turned out like shit.
Yep.
It was complete opposite.
It was.
I thought it was going to be a washout all week. It really wasn't. And then Saturday flipped. Like, I don't know, on like Thursday or Friday, the weather on Saturday just completely flipped from being nice to being wet all day, and it was by far the rainiest day.
It gave me
Friday was good.
It was. Gave me deja vu Friday. Oh, people thought maybe a tornado might have been developing somewhere in the area. I remember that year as a kid. I was a young kid, probably 10 years old, and the tornado that kind of hit around. It was either Derby or Oaks Day, so that kind of gave me a little deja vu there at that moment.
I didn't think a tornado was coming, but it did get a little bit windy there for a while. But it lasted about 30 minutes.
I think it was a pretty nasty storm. Like, there was some nasty storms in the area.
I feel like we did all right on Friday. Besides that little bit that we got, most of the rest of the day was pretty good. Great day on Friday. We hit the early pick 5, the one that we had to go to 2 to 3 windows to get in. 3 of us, $50 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Think we invested $50. It was a $150 pick 5. We hit it. We won.
We made we didn't make much.
So we made $85 a piece.
And our last race was 8-1. If that tells you anything.
85. It paid $250.
Yep.
No. Yeah, I think that's about right.
No, because we made
85. We made 85.
Okay, so we made 35. So that was 240, 250. Yeah, 250 is what it made.
It was right around 250. It was bad.
It was, but you know what? It's better than throwing away a ticket. We made a profit.
No, we hit the pick 5, but man, it was one of the lower paying pick 5s that you're going to see. But we hit it, and Oaks Day turned out to be a pretty big day. Fierceness comes back.
Broke a track record. Guys, that's impressive.
The record.
He was wide. First race since the Breeders' Cup. He won the Haskell and the Traver. He was Florida Derby winner, Kentucky Derby favorite. Didn't fire in the Derby. Comes back. What'd he win? He won the Preakness and the Belmont. He won one of them, or maybe 2 of them. Then he won the Haskell and the Travers. He was the favorite going into the Breeders' Cup Classic. Like Rapoli has said many times, that's maybe the best race he ever ran in the Classic. Crazy fractions on the front end, like 109, and still almost won the race here. Leon got him, everything kind of set up for him. And so 99% of the time when that happens, they retire them to the breeding shed because there's so much money in breeding. Well, Rapoli has said many times he thinks horse racing needs more.
And nobody would have blamed him if Fierceness went off
Everybody
the stud.
else, even the richest of people, do that. And Fierceness did not go off the stud. That's scary because there's a lot of money you're risking, injury or him kind of losing his luster. Anyhow, he was off since November. Most of the time when you're on a 6-7 month layoff, when you come back to the races, you start them off like in a nice allowance race or a grade 3. You don't put them against the toughest competition. And he went up against Locked, Most Wanted, a really loaded Ali Sheba race, grade 1 event. I can't believe he really came back to that. And so some people thought he was vulnerable. I think he went off around even money. And there were some other couple really nice horses, Locked, Most Wanted. And Most Wanted did run a tough second, but Fierceness.
Track record at Churchill.
For the mile of 16. and stayed wide the whole trip. Now, I do think that's where you wanted to be, was wide once the kind of the rain started. I don't know if the rain was started then or not, but that was awesome. That was awesome. See, Fierceness has always been one of my favorites, so seeing him come back was awesome. And then there was the
Thorpedo Anna.
Thorpedo Anna. She was 2-5, looked unbeatable. Everybody that follows horse racing, she was a top filly in the country last year. Actually raced Fierceness and almost beat him last year. Comeback was up against. This is one of the reasons why it's scary to bring them back. But for girls, it ain't as scary because there ain't as much money in it. Because they can't cover as many mares. They can, have one baby a year. But anyhow, faced some top fillies in Raging Sea and Randomized. Them were two of the other top fillies that are out there, or mares. And she got beat. She didn't even finish in top 3. She didn't fire.
She finished
Last
7th of 7.
7th of 7. Wasn't her day. Maybe they pulled her up, just wasn't her day. Was it muddy at that point, Charlie? You remember?
It probably was for that race because it rained before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say it was. I want to say it was muddy by then.
Maybe she didn't take to the mud. Whatever it was, she didn't fire. I think that was a huge surprise for a lot of people. Was me. Of course, I tried to beat her, and I did beat her. Guy had one of the double that I had, but couldn't get the second leg of it. But, it was a surprise to me. Even though I try to beat them, don't mean I think I can beat them. I try to beat Fierceness. I love Fierceness. Fierceness is my horse. Charlie knows that. Everybody knows that. Fierceness is my guy. Try to beat him. He's 4-5. It ain't that I want to pull against him, but there's only so many races to bet. I can't bet 4-5s, dude. I just can't do it. So everybody's different. Some people think, well, it's great value, but for me, I tried
to beat Fierceness. He won. And then I rode with Thorpedo Anna, and she got smoked. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Friday wasn't my day either betting. I lost again on Friday.
I lost Friday. That was my day I lost. I actually had a winner at the end Friday that kind of helped me not lose a lot, but I'd won really big on Thursday and then had a small winning day on there. So I was up decent going into the Derby. So that was the Alashiba, and then you had the Oaks race. I tried to beat her. She was the big favorite. Brad Cox's good cheer. She was undefeated. Nobody had really challenged her. I tried to beat her. That was a mistake.
I was on the 14. Who'd you?
14, same horse. Same horse.
Yeah.
Me and Charlie usually don't end up on the same horse. It's almost like a pride thing. Almost like I'll pick my horse, he picks his. But we just did. He come back with he said, who'd he go with? I said 14. That's the only one I think can beat her. Nobody can beat her.
No.
She was impressive. She was impressive.
She was real impressive. And before the race, looking at her past performances, I think we were already saying, why didn't maybe they take a chance in the Derby? And after the race, we were definitely saying it.
I think the biggest reason is Godolphin. Would you agree with that?
Probably so.
They had 2 shots in the Derby, and we'll get into that in a second. But
they won the Derby. So
you don't do that. I don't think.
You're probably right.
I don't think I wouldn't. I couldn't race. If I have a chance to win both races and they both had their division, no way. I couldn't do it.
Probably the right move.
Yep.
But she looks super impressive.
She did.
She's 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 now.
She looks good.
And nobody's ever been close to her in any of those races. So I'm anxious to see where she comes up next.
No, she is.
What do you think?
I think because of Sovereignty winning the Derby, I think they keep her in the until couldn't see the point when you can win both while you would race them against each other. Why would you, Sovereignty, has a chance to really make a name for itself. Why would you take a chance of her being the one that beat him? Or
there's rumors right now. Apparently, the handlers or somebody involved with Sovereignty is saying there's a possibility they're not running in the Preakness.
Yeah, which
would be an absolute shame.
I would hate it, but I wouldn't be mad at Mott because it's a quick turn back.
That's bad for the sport.
I agree with that. I agree with that. And it's Godolphin. I'm going to say Godolphin runs them because listen, Godolphin. So they are the princes of Dubai essentially, and they finally won their first Derby this year. But starting years and years ago, they used to just buy them and take them back there. Then they brought a barn. They pumped so much money into horse racing, it's unbelievable. And I don't know how many years it's been, 20, 30 years, but now they built up this breeding empire. They got a good operation going. They got Godolphin USA, Godolphin Europe. You heard it in the Derby, the Royal Blue wears the roses. That's how you know Godolphin. They're the Royal Blue. And whenever they need more money, they just turn the little knob and make produce a little bit more gas. They're the gas people. They come and they spend big money at the Keeneland yearling sale every year. The brothers, they say that they come and they try to pick out their own horses, and they're horsemen. They're not just people pumping money into something. So somebody that's a prince, they have a lot of other duties going on. For them to do that, they're really into horse racing, and they do it the right way. And I think that's why people welcome them in Kentucky, and they bring a lot of money here. So it's
got to race the horse in the Preakness.
No, I get it. 2 weeks is fast though, but I don't want them to change it.
You know what the ratings of the Preakness would be if they don't? Actually, I heard that the attendance at the track at Churchill this year was down, which I can understand. It rained and poured all day. It was a messy, sloppy Churchill Downs. So I can understand that the attendance was down a little bit. But they said the TV ratings were off the chains.
Sure.
I think I heard it was as high as like the national championship basketball game.
Okay.
Higher than any NBA playoff game so far.
Okay.
So they're still getting the ratings on TV.
Bailey, another guy, did it right. They do the big stuff, don't they? Jerry Bailey and his partner, don't they do the big events? The broadcast.
Yeah, I think so.
Bailey does a good job with it.
Yeah, they do. Speaking of that, did you do your homework? You probably didn't, did you? Did you watch episode 1?
Nope.
Didn't watch it.
Only so much time in the day, Charlie.
I know, I get it, but hey, watch it by next week, and we can take out about 15 minutes of the episode next week and review episode 1.
I feel like I know half of it just from talking to people.
I'm gonna go back and watch it again too, because it's been about a week since I watched it. But I'm gonna rewatch it too. But try to watch that by next week, maybe next Sunday night, so to be fresh in our mind or something.
I got you. And if you live in Louisville, and you haven't seen it, they had one years ago and then they switched it. But if you're interested in horse racing, if you love horse racing, if you just like watching it, you want to learn more about the Derby, you want to learn more about horse racing, I highly recommend. I wouldn't recommend it on Derby week, but now that things have calmed down, take 3 or 4 hours of your day, go to the Derby Museum. You learn a lot. It's very impressive. It's not just some hole in the wall museum. It's nice. Everything you want to know about horse racing is there. The history of the Derby, history of Churchill Downs, and the coolest thing they got is they got I think they call it the greatest race, and it's you set in the middle of it. It's actually in the middle of the museum. It's kind of cool how it's set up like a bow, and you set up, and there's a screen that goes all the way around like a racetrack, and you're just looking up around you. And Wayne Lucas, I think, actually helps narrate it. They switched it with American Pharoah when he won the Triple Crown, but it's just a build up of what the Derby is.
They didn't get Baffert to narrate.
They might have. I'm just saying.
I'm just messing around.
And I do think the museum's like a little different than CDI. I mean, it's owned by the same people.
I need to go. I've been.
So you've not seen the American Pharoah one? No. Yeah, you need to see. You take the boys. Hey, best money you can spend. Best money you can spend, and it's not expensive. It's very cheap.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, and the boys would like the museum, even if you just spend 2 hours in the museum. They do runs of the show like every 30 minutes. I think they're like a 30-minute show, so it'll give you cold chills. Even if I think if you're not a horse racing guy, it's done very well. The way it's set up is really nice. So that was Oaks Day. So we got home. I was exhausted when I got home, Charlie, from drinking. We got some dinner and we got ready for Derby Day. I don't know what you did. I used to party on Oaks Night, but
what I did was what I do every year. Oaks Night, I make my way to the annual Onan Oaks party. You're gonna have to come with me next year. It's usually a bunch of debauchery once we show up because we don't show up till late and everybody's hammered. And we got CT's picks.
Oh yeah, I see them.
C, his picks were struggling a little bit, but T, he nailed it. His top pick was Sovereignty. We told you that if you were going to take anybody's advice, it was going to be CT's picks. The winner was right there in front of you. If I can, I'm going to insert it. I'm going to play it.
Blitz the Bookie is live for CT's Derby picks. Oaks Night, let's get it.
I can't wait to win. We got CT's picks. Don't even go to Derby tomorrow. Sell your tickets We got hot picks.
It is raining, ain't gonna lie. Make it rain on us.
Hello.
Whoa, that was kind of sexy.
Who do you got, Chad?
What do you got?
Well-
Don't be trying to steal from me again.
Let me tell you something.
What?
I
You ain't got nothing.
I ain't so
I'll take over.
Don't
You already
listen.
know, coat the boat, because it's going to be raining all night long. Coat,
I'm not gonna lie, that's hot.
the battle
That's hot.
is
That's hot.
that away.
I love when it rains.
Oh, you do. Tell me about that.
Cause I like a mutter.
You
And
love
it's
a butter.
Sovereignty. 18, eat it up.
Smell it. No, that's smell
That's
it.
a
Smell it.
Bull, that was erotic.
No, I don't
What do you
know.
got?
Ah.
I think you said smell it.
No, I said spell it. But
Oh, spell it? You can't
Yeah.
spell. Why would you ever say spell it?
you need to publish
This
that.
motherfucker can't spell
You
shit.
need to publish that one on that 13 right there.
13?
You know, how
Who's
about
that?
How about that?
Who is that? Publisher.
You haven't
You
spelled
can't
check.
even
Spell
spell
check.
publisher.
Yeah. Spell check.
Spell publisher right now. Spell it.
P-U-B-L-I.
You can't spell this on the screen.
All right, hurry.
He's an idiot.
That don't matter.
He's an idiot.
Man, you did.
What is it? I don't know. 18 is
Hey,
eating.
after my win, Colt battle, I'm going to the Sandman for second.
Sandman ain't
I'll
doing
be on
shit.
the beach.
He gonna
I'll
get
be
stuck
on
in
the
the sand. He's getting stuck
I'll
in
be
the
on the
sand.
beach hanging
Ain't
out.
doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm going.
You know what? I'll chuck a cup of gold on that on number 3.
chunk of gold. I forgot he was in the race.
I'm sure you did.
Holy I forgot.
Idiot.
Sovereignty.
Yeah.
Final gambit. It's a wrap.
And then I'm going to go to the Luxor Cafe.
What?
Win.
He's going to AE Derby?
On 4.
Holy
That's
moly.
my try. That's my super factor.
You
bud.
better.
My
I'm
super factor.
calling Calvin Burrell. Calvin Burrell.
Put
He's
it
coming
on the
up.
flat.
Oh my God.
It's a sold
It's a
out route.
No, he was
So
on him.
everybody
He called me. Had been drinking. He said, he knew Grande had been scratched. He said, I heard you stole my pick. I said, well, I like him. You know, it's just one of them I like. And I said, I really feel like he's, the best one. You stole my pick. It was cool. We had a good conversation, fun. He was having a good time. You could tell.
Yeah, so the annual Onan party and CT's Derby picks. First time I think they've had a winner in the few years that they've done their picks. So C needs to pick up his game because he was struggling.
He's there for the party.
He had Cold Battle, which I did actually kind of end up liking.
Colbatto had a rough trip.
He had a chunk of gold.
Yeah, I don't know about Chunk.
He didn't have Render Judgment. He had the other one. I forgot who it was. His top 4 were awful.
He likes the long
He
shot.
would have won a ton of money if it would have came in, but I don't think. any of
I
his
think
four
like that
came from
sometimes when I'll make a couple odd trifecta bets and supers, just thinking, dude, if this hits, this is life changing.
So yeah, CT's Derby picks came through, but then Saturday comes, Derby day, and it's raining its ass off.
That's all it was
Rain and rain and rain. We went to a Derby party that we've been to the last few years. Still a good time.
Yeah.
A lot of food, a lot of good people, jackpots, pull tabs,
Trey,
raffle baskets.
Trey's always organized at his
Boy,
parties, dude.
yeah, he's got it all.
Trey likes throwing a party. I'll say that. Trey
It was a
likes
good
throwing
time, and it was a
party.
good
Yeah.
time. I actually got the day started with a couple doubles. I had 2 or 3 doubles in a row early in the day. Was up, nice little chunk of change. So I started off actually pretty good. I feel like I picked pretty good all day. I had one mistake, Anthony, and it was not picking that 2 horse in
Copin or whatever.
Copian or
Copium, yeah.
that. Not only was it a mistake,
He was awesome.
it sounds like it was. I'm a fucking idiot because everybody was talking about that
Yeah,
horse.
he should never been 8-1 morning line. That everybody been talking about that.
Good.
Jerry Bailey and his partner said they had made a
I
comment.
know. I
Yeah,
seen the
yeah,
video you
yeah.
sent.
They
me.
said
I seen them talking about
they
it.
called
I'm
him
like-
out. They said there's no way he's 8-1.
So I left him out of my pick 5. No, was that a pick? Yeah, it was a pick 5. No, was that a pick 6?
I'm not sure.
I think it was the.
Yeah.
It was either the pick 5.
I
or
hate
the
that
pick
for you,
6.
'cause that was the
one
easy-
short.
that
That
was
was
one
the
of
only
these
one I
ones.
lost. That was
Yeah.
the only one. What was that? The race before Derby or 2 races before Derby?
I'm not sure.
It was. I think it was the 4th leg. I want to say of my pick 6. That's what it was. Pick 6 was ending in the Derby. we looked at it. I want to say the pick six didn't pay, but like $1,600,
Mhm.
$2,000. It was the only one that I lost. Yeah, because I remember saying I had 5 of 6.
So
But yeah, that was my big blunder of the day.
So-
Sophie, and I'm gonna be watching that horse coming back for sure.
Oh, you and everybody else. He's a superstar. So for me, I said this to you, laugh, but it was the truth. I ended up having a nice Derby, but I underachieved on Derby Day. I'm telling you, I picked you ever have that day, Charlie? We've talked about it. I know you have because we've talked about it, where you pick all kinds of winners. Like I'm picking long shots. I'm picking like 11 to 1s, 12 to 1s. I'm having $20 doubles going into the second leg.
No win
bets.
bets.
A few small ones.
That's where you're missing out.
Oh yeah, no.
That's where you're missing out.
But I'm betting like just missing exactas.
Because you're looking for them doubles and pick threes.
Okay, so I had a $5 pick 3, and in the second leg I was going to play the 8 and the 7, and I got cheap. I just took the 7 out the very last second before I hit the ticket. I could afford that ticket. I think it made the difference between $15 and $30. Could have afforded the ticket, but I just got a little cheap. It cost me $1,700. I had it. It wasn't that it was just a thought. I had it punched in, and I pulled it out. That was when all the 7s were hitting. It was rough, but I got real hot. I'm a Mindframe guy. If Fierceness is my horse, Mindframe's my second horse. I had Mindframe in that big race. We'll talk about it here in a second. I got hot from there, and I ended up hitting the Derby. So didn't hit as much as Charlie on the day, but I still had a nice day. I still like to think I made $1,200-$1,300 on Derby Day. So I'll be happy with that. And on Oaks Day was my losing day. So I actually came out for the weekend, but, I had to buy those expensive Oaks tickets. So maybe didn't come out as much as I would have liked. But
yeah, no shit.
if you can just break even on Derby weekend or Derby week, I think you're doing something. So
it took me all week, but I got it back.
That's right.
Baby. I got it back.
That's right. So let's talk a few things on the Derby real quick, Derby Day. Look, guys, I've been watching the Kentucky Derby card my whole life. It's always been a strong undercard, but I don't think it's ever been this strong. I mean, the undercard was amazing. Some of the highlights of it in the Derby City Distaff, you had that Copion superstar, and he looked like a superstar. A very tough field, and just took it to him.
That's a female?
Yes, the Derby City Distaff.
Yeah.
So Copion, if I'm pronouncing that right, to me,
that was a West Coast horse.
it was. I think that was
The
that.
first time it's ever been out east. Part of the reason I didn't bet on him because I seen he had never been out east. I'm pretty sure of that. Damn, that was my blunder of the day. Cost me whatever that pick 6 paid. I would have hit that fucking pick 6.
He really looked good. He really
Really
looked
looked good.
He did. And, I was impressed with him. He is a 4-year-old filly. He's out of Omaha Beach. And the trainer on him is Richard Mandela. So he's one to definitely keep an eye on. He'll definitely be lined up for the Breeders' Cup Philly America Sprint. That'll be what he'll be shooting for. So the next race, which I thought was the most talented, I think most horse racing people would agree, the most talented race of the day, as far as just pure talent in the race. You had older horses racing in the Churchill Downs Stakes. A lot of big names in it. It was a 7 furlongs race, and a couple horses showed up that I was really surprised showed up. So the first one was your winner. And when I say winner, it was a blanket finish. You really can't say one was better than the other. Mindframe beat them by a nose, but there was like 4 horses on the wire. Is that what it was?
Great race.
Great race.
Great race.
Mindframe was able to win it. I'm a Mindframe guy. Got Mindframe at 7-2. I don't know if you'll ever get Mindframe at 7-2.
You'll never even get it close to that.
Yeah, maybe in the Breeders' Cup Classic if he was to lose one.
Maybe.
But he might be more talented than Fierceness. What's crazy about him is he did all this last year at longer distances. Grade 1 race, 7 furlongs. His pedigree says long. He's running in a grade 1 high-level race for 7 furlongs. It really didn't make sense. But he just added a grade 1 victory to his belt. When he goes to breed, not only will he be able to say that he is bred for distance, but now he's going to be able to say, I won a grade 1 at 7 furlongs. That's huge in the breeding world. The speed and stamina is there. So that's huge. But one of the reasons that he was 7-2 because the field was so loaded. Remember this name, guys, that I'm going to tell you. This horse lost by a nose. But I'm going to be honest with you. I came away so impressed. Now, I'm still a Mindframe guy. Horse's name is Nice Souls. It's Badford's horse. He was your Derby favorite going into last year. He had rolled through 3 races and nobody had even touched him. He got hurt. And this horse hadn't raced in over a year, since last February. So 14 months he hadn't raced. So he comes back to the races. You think, okay, Badford is setting him up in a grade 3, just something to get his feet wet. No, Badford brings him to Churchill Downs on Derby Day, races the grade 1 against Napoleon Pletcher and Mindframe. And this horse is the same as Mindframe. You know, bred for a little bit longer races him a grade 1 against,
He finished second, did
by nose.
Yeah.
By nose. And
he?
maybe
He was right in the
and
mix.
maybe had the best race because he kind of veered in a little bit on the stretch and couldn't keep his horse straight for a minute. He hadn't raced in over 14 months. Man, I came away super impressed with that horse. He's definitely going to be a player in the older division. I would say, I know it's saying crazy. I think you got to put him as a top 4 horse in the older division. He might be the best. I mean, him and Mindframe were pretty much even. He ain't raced in 14 months. When he did race, he'd won 3 races like by crazy amount of lengths. He was your Derby favorite and just got hurt and kind of went away for 14 months. So Nice Horse is his name. Keep an eye on him. The Pat Day Mile, it was won by Macho Music. I can tell you what number that was because I had him. That was a 7 horse. I think it was like 12 or 13 to 1. Don't know why I had him. I'd have to look at it again. He's not one that just rings a bell to me, but I had him. Madacat Road, Badford's horse came second. And then I forgot what race that was. It was a big race. It was Simply in Front won it, beat Pin Up Betty by a nose. If Pin Up Betty would have won, I'd have been rich. Lost it by a nose. That was a hard loss for me. Pin Up Betty was like 12 to 1. But, you know, it is what it is. There's a big race always before the Derby. It's the Turf Classic. Spirit of St. Louis won it. I'm an Integration's a big turf horse. He had a lot of traffic trouble last year in the same race. I bet him this year. He was like 3 or 4 to 1. I said he's going to kind of get revenge for having a bad trip last year. Man, he had a worse trip this year. I mean, he got hammered pretty hard, shut off pretty hard. That's horse racing for you. But
Spirit of St. Louis looked good.
He did. No, looked very good. Very good. He might not have beat him. So he did look very good. I agree with that, Charlie. He was one of the ones getting a lot of action, but there were some other races too. There's a race I like to touch on, Goal Oriented. Badford brought in a horse that only won 1 race, but everybody's saying it's one of Badford's next big courses. He's not out of knot this time. He ran in a higher level allowance race. It was very impressive when speed wasn't holding very well. He was able to win it wire to wire. The one thing that I will take out of watching all those races before we get into the Derby was on Derby Day, speed was really fading. And I think the spot of the track you wanted to be on was the outside, as weird as that is. Maybe all the water was going to the inside. Nobody wanted to be on the rail. You could see it. And a lot of winners came from the outside going wide. So speed definitely was dying. So if you bet a speed horse on Derby Day, on whatever race, and keep an eye on that horse. That horse might come back on a more fair playing track, and you might play him back. Them are little angles I like. But get into the Derby.
Real quick before that, the one other horse that I liked on the day that we haven't mentioned, it was in the American Turf.
Okay.
It was the Zulu Kingdom.
Okay.
It was one of the 7s.
He won a race, and I had him not because I loved him. I just got lucky. He was one of the favorites.
Well, I thought that was a tough race. That was one of the ones where I had like 3 or 4, and I was really trying to narrow it down. And I ended up on that horse. I was pretty impressed. I like that Zulu Kingdom. I'll be watching him come back too, see where he comes back.
I think that's for 3-year-old turf horses because the Turf Classics for the older division. I think that American Turf is for 3-year-old. It's kind of like the third 3-year-old championship for Derby Day. For the 3-year-olds.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of that, guys, there was an awesome card. You know, maybe we bored you with some of that. Look, guys, I will tell y'all this.
Sorry, guys. It's the Derby look back episode. Sorry.
But if you're not a horse racing fan, just like in basketball, just like in football, they have players. They have you follow these people. It ain't just the Triple Crown Trail. Actually, I think a horse sometimes is best when he's older. The Triple Crown Trail is the most famous the one that everybody likes to watch, but there's a lot going on in horse racing, different divisions, horses out of this horse, the breeding, and just a lot that goes into it. A lot of fun. It's why I love it. It's interesting once you start learning everything about it. So going into the Derby race, Charlie.
The Derby. Sitting at this point, Anthony, I needed a winner, but I did have 2 or 3 doubles early on Derby Day, so I wasn't sitting bad on Derby Day. But for the weekend, or for the week, I was down. I was down a little bit.
Back against the wall. He came out swinging.
Back against the wall.
Look, so we touched on it. My horse, Grande, got scratched. And what I hate about it, now the way I understand this, because he got scratched that day and the track scratched him.
Yeah, because he was scratched by the track, by the vets or whatever.
Yeah, they said he had some kind of, he had like a minor crack in his hoof, and it was getting better fast. And it wasn't showing up on x-rays at the end. Even the x-rays they took, the track took, but the horse racing safety people wanted to take x-ray, and they took one, and it didn't show up. But they still scratched him, and they have the authority to do that, I think. And Rapoli, his owner, that owns Fierceness and Mindframe, he's one of the kind of the louder mouths in the game, but I like him. But he was pissed. He was pissed. He had a Derby favorite scratch a couple years ago in Forte that was kind of BS. And so he made a big statement on Twitter saying he didn't understand that, they said if it didn't show up and it got better, they'd be fine. He said that's what happened. Even on their x-ray, he said they changed the rules on him. And so he was pissed. But because of that, because they scratched him there, he's not eligible for the Preakness. That's part of the rules. And because Rodriguez they scratched him themselves. Maybe that's why Baffert did it. Maybe Baffert was scared of that and got word of it. But because of that, Rodriguez is eligible for the Preakness, which I don't think it would matter anyways, because I think Grande, Rapoli's a New York guy. A lot of people, if they don't win the Derby, they'll skip one of them. He's out of curling. The Belmont's a mile and a quarter of this race. I think Grande, I think he'll shoot for the Belmont. I do. I could be wrong on that, but I think that'd be the race he shoots for, Rapoli being a Belmont guy. So mine got scratched, and so I had to adjust, time to settle in on Sovereignty. I had some other horses. And so, we told the story. Charlie hit the super and try. I hit the exact. We both had a really nice win bet on it. I was really upset. I wouldn't have had the super, but I was really upset that I didn't have that. So the final 3 horses were Sovereignty, Journalism, and Baeza.
And then 4th was Final Gambit.
And let me tell you, between the top 3, it was all, it wasn't like noses apart, but they were all right there.
And Final Gambit wasn't far behind, and I would say the top 4.
I feel like Final Gambit was a little bit behind, but you're right. But there was a gap, but there was
a bigger gap between 4th and everybody else than there was between 1, 2, 3, and then Final Gambit. You're right. He was a little bit back from the top 3, but there was a big gap back from 4 to everybody else.
If you were anywhere near the front end, I'll give credit to Owen Almighty. I think he got 5th. If you were anywhere near the front end, you were in the back. The front end died. It was a lot of pressure up there. It was a tiring track. Them were the horses that finished in the back. And if you liked one of those horses, give them another shot. I'm not saying they'll win. I don't know. But, everything was kind of against them.
Well, we questioned how the race would start last week.
Yep.
How the speed would get out there. I said I was on East Avenue to get the lead. You were more towards Citizen Bull getting the lead. You ended up being right because Citizen Bull was on. But really all 4, Rodriguez scratched. But I feel like the other 4 of the speed horses all got out there. Citizen Bull was out there. East Avenue was sitting in about 4th. Neo Equos was right up there. And Owen Almighty got out there too. So really all the speed horses I felt like did what they needed. And like Anthony said earlier, go watch the beginning of the race. Right out of the gate.
He might have been brought down, dude. He might have been brought down.
And the 2.
Maybe he's getting off the rail.
And maybe the 1 pushed the 2. I don't know.
They're both California horses. You think they had a relationship? No, they weren't, because the one was from Gulfstream. The 2, you think maybe they had something set up? Like, hey, let's. They wanted off the rail. It was very obvious.
And they got off the rail. I've never seen 2 horses in the Derby do that. Have you?
No, they wanted off the rail.
They didn't just get off the rail 1 or 2 paths. They got off the rail like 4 paths. You're right. They might have got It might have been an inquiry.
think
if
he
one of
would've.
them horses.
I think he
would
would've.
have race, man.
I do, and I think
Go
he did.
watch it, guys. If you haven't rewatched Breaking Out of the Gate in the Derby,
It
watch
wasn't
it.
an accident either. You can see the jockey pulling him over there.
The 1 and the 2 both.
I think
Shoot over far.
I think Badford told him, get him off the rail. I think the rail was dead, Charlie. You didn't see much come up the rail.
Nothing was coming up.
Everything
the rail. I don't feel
outside.
like anything was coming up the rail.
Everything was kind of far outside that was winning, dude. I'm just telling you, and off the pace. So I think Badford noticed it, and Badford says, you got to get him off the rail. You don't have a chance.
So the speed got out there, but what did the fractions look like?
They ended up running
Anthony?
the 6 furlong in 110. It was fast, especially for those conditions. It was fast. Not only was it fast,
Had
but
all 4 of them out there, so they was pushing each other.
it was a pressured pace at that. The track was playing for a closer. It set up for a closer, and that's who was there. And so here's kind of how it worked out. Sovereignty stayed clean. Really, I think his post might have benefited him a little bit. I think you kind of wanted to be outside because in the middle, there was a big thing that went on in the middle. There was a traffic jam on the first turn, a lot of checking. Journalism caught a little bit of that. Not taking up for him, but he caught.
Everybody always talks about how the middle is the best.
I think it's just dumb luck, Charlie.
I'm to question that because
I think it's dumb luck sometimes, just how it pans out.
I know the 18, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 is way out there, but I feel like you've got less to battle out there.
Yeah.
Now you got to be able to get over.
I think it takes you more like you're kind of running. It just depends how it opens up. I've seen horses break to the middle and nobody's even around. I'll have another dude. It was beautiful. His trip was beautiful. I mean, it was just, he was all by himself in the middle. It's everything you want. But anyhow, journalism, I'm not taking up for him. I'm glad he lost because I had sovereignty. But journalism has some excuses. He really does. He did. He made a big move on the turn. He was down the rail almost the whole race. I don't know if, it was, tiring or not. But he made his move and sovereignty made it with him. And it was a dogfight there for a minute. And sovereignty,
they were both right where they wanted to be.
I wouldn't say either one of those horses. Like, look, sovereignty won the race. And I think maybe I might even argue that maybe like if I play in all the factors, maybe I would say journalism, maybe if you're factoring it that way, maybe is a pinch better. But I don't think I think they're even. I really think those two horses, considering everything that happened, I know sovereignty won the race, but I'll say they're about even. I'm going to tell you who I thought was the best horse, Charlie. I watched this replay. It's become a thing I like to do. I like it more than the race. I love going back and watching the replay and checking every horse.
Trip.
Yeah, I love it, dude. It's like something I love. I'm going to tell you who the best horse was. He lost. So he didn't, Baeza was the best horse.
I agree.
Hey, Charlie.
Even though I think journalism looked really good.
Oh, he did. They
really
did.
Good too. So I think those
I'd
three,
take nothing away from them, man.
Those three. And I'll tell you what, the way Final Gambit ran first time in the dirt was pretty impressive too. But yeah, I do agree he probably ran the best race, but maybe journalism did, because journalism had some trouble twice.
He did.
Two separate times.
He did.
In the race. So maybe journalism actually ran the best
race.
I
was so impressed about Baeza was A, that he's not had as many races as the other ones, but B, so they all kind of made their move at the same time. I guess, were they watching each other? I don't know. I'm sure they were a little bit. A good jockey will. But they were all kind of watching each other, and they were all starting to make their move. Journalism and sovereignty were not side by side, but they were watching each other and they moved together. And Baeza was kind of a little bit more towards the middle there, down towards, and he was going to cut up through some horses. And so they were all staying. You can see they all had good momentum built up. Momentum's big in horse racing. When you got momentum started to stop it and restart it, it takes a lot out of a horse, and you lose. And when all that happened, Baeza pretty much had to tap on the brakes all the way. The horses just in front of him, he had nowhere to go. He was stopped. And that's when sovereignty and journalism got out on him by about 5 lengths. Once Baeza got out and he got some momentum, his momentum back going, he started eating into him. He started eating into him and eating into him fast at the very end. I think if you go back and you really judge it, now you could argue journalism and you can argue for sovereignty. Hey, you won the race. But I say all 3 of those horses were the 3 best horses.
5 more strides and Baeza gets second.
Yeah.
And I had a nice 1821 exacta, Anthony. I think it was like $15.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'd love to see what the 1821 exacta would have paid.
If they raced tomorrow, I would consider journalism. I would have to see the odds, all about value. But I'd probably bet Baeza. But I'm not the only one saying it because I've seen it on some horse racing forums and stuff like that. Everybody's kind of talking the Baeza talk. And let me tell you this about Baeza. Guys, I want you to try to wrap your mind around this for a second. So you've heard me say it. I don't feel like this is being talked about nearly enough. So when you are a stud, when you are American Pharoah, you're retired early so you can make money in the breeding business. I don't know how many they cover a year, maybe 250, 300 mares a year. You know what I mean by covering. So they're lucky if they get one of their babies in the Derby out of 250, 300 shots. Some of those horses never make it to the racetrack, believe it or not. You can breed great with great and not even get a racehorse. They never even make it to the track. You can breed great with great and they become claimers. It's hard to breed a horse. It's not as easy as just breeding good with good. Gives you a better chance, but it's still very difficult. So with a Justifier, American Pharoah, whoever it be, breeding with that many and maybe having one at Derby if they're lucky, think about those numbers. Just say it's 250 and you get one in the Derby. And you know they're all breeding with good mares. So the mares, the women, they have it a lot harder to make a name for themselves. They get one a year. They get one horse a year. They get, they're the female. That was impressive, Charlie. I see what you're pointing at. That was very impressive at dunk there. Very impressive. We're watching the game there.
Chad Holmgren just got smashed on
Yeah.
by Aaron Gordon.
I like
bad.
that.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
you.
you're good. It's I like that he challenged him. Some guys don't even try to challenge him. But so they get one a year. So there's a horse by the name of Puka. She's out of Big Brown. She's had 4 years worth of babies. Her first baby was a stakes winner. That's hard. To produce a stakes winner for just one chance, that's very hard. But that's just the small part of it. That was the first of the 4 years of her babies. The last 3 years, I'm going to name 3 names for you. You're going to know, I think you'll know them all. Mage won the Derby 3 years ago. That was her baby. Last year, Dornoch was one of the major players in the Triple Crown Trail. What did he win? The Belmont and did he win the Preakness too?
They won one or
maybe the Haskell or the Travels.
Yeah.
He was one of the major players. He was a champion.
I think he might have won the Preakness.
Yeah, he won the Belmont because he beat Mindframe. Remember, he fought back.
Maybe it was just the Belmont.
I think he made a comeback and won the Preakness too.
Might have.
He was a champion. He was a true champion. He beat Sierra Leone. He fought back against him in the early Derby preps. The horse was a fighter and he was a champion. So you got Dornoch, you got Mage, and this year she had Baeza. And I think anybody that knows horse racing can tell Baeza is a big time. 3 years, 3 championship level horses. She only gets one a year. That is unheard of, guys. Her name's Puka.
Nakua.
Puca out of Big Brown. If you remember, when I say out of, I mean that was her dad. I mean, the odds of that are astronomical. Hats off to Puka. I don't think she's getting enough credit. That's pretty impressive, wouldn't you say?
Very impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Very impressive.
So off to the Preakness. All in all, Charlie, it was a fun race. Don't you agree? Nobody kind of dominated. It was a stretch duel for a minute, right?
Oh yeah, it was. He ran a big race. Journalism was making his move, and Sovereignty was stalking pretty much right on his hip.
And they fought.
A little bit off his hip.
They
but
fought
right there.
They fought. They fought.
I think that could be a
little rivalry.
Could be.
Maybe that's the second play. I think Baeza.
Maybe we get all 3 of them battling for the.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Hey, and I want to tell you the 2 horses and I'm not saying they're better than them because I say the odds are they probably aren't. But I do think they get their day in the sun, and that's Rodriguez and Grande. That's the group that came down from New York. It's funny they both scratched. They were the Wood Memorial horses. I do think they get their shot to kind of say how good they are. So I'll be looking to bet Grande. I still like him. I like everything about him that I've seen. Rapoli seemed very confident. He made a statement. You know, he won with Mindframe and Fierceness. He said he would have won all three, but he's kind of mouthy, which I think horse racing needs that. I'm not saying I agree with him or don't. Of course, I like Grande, but if you gave me a choice tomorrow, I'll probably take the more proven horse. If you're just saying the odds are all the same, but I will bet Grande if the odds are good because I still like him.
So speaking of the Preakness, who are we going to see in this Preakness?
I don't know, Charlie. I don't know. I really don't. I don't think nobody knows. We got to give it a day or two. It's in 2 weeks, though, so that they don't got long. I feel like the Preakness is typically the easiest one because there's a lot of horses that skip it.
I'm still seeing Sovereignty's people are still undecided. Look, I get it. I get the whole thing, but man, look, the schedule's been what it is forever. So why the whole 2-week thing? I'm not saying it's right or wrong to run horses in 2 weeks. Maybe it is too quick.
Godolphin's going for
But
it.
we've been doing it forever. Why?
He's running in it. Godolphin's running in that.
Got to, man.
Godolphin respects horse racing too much. They respect the game.
If that's the case, they will definitely run because
it is fast to bring a horse back. 2 weeks
I'm
is
not saying
fast,
it's
but
not.
that's why it's hard to win.
Plenty of horses have done it throughout the years and not got hurt. I'm not saying some of them don't get hurt trying to go off 2 weeks rest, but we've been doing this for a long, long time.
Yep.
Horse most likely will be all right. If you want to change up the schedule, change it up. But it has been what it's been forever.
But you can't change it because then you can't compare horses that have won it. You got to keep it the same. That's what makes it hard. You got 2 weeks at the Preakness, which usually they give them about a month, off between races. So 2 weeks is a fast comeback. And then 3 weeks after that, you got the Belmont, which is usually 1.5 miles. It's not this year because they're getting a renovation at Belmont. 1.5 miles, not many horses are bred to go 1.5 miles. The Derby's 1.25 miles. The Preakness is a little bit shorter, 1 3/16. 1.5 miles, the final leg of the Triple Crown, the Test of Champions. 3 races in 5 weeks, and then with the 1.5 mile race, which most horses aren't bred to go that far. The Derby, you usually have like 20 horses. It's the Test of Champions.
Right now, I'm seeing River Thames, Rodriguez, Clever Again, Heart of Honor, Journalism, Sovereignty, Sandman, Gosker, Caldera, and Pay Billy.
What about Cold Battle? Have they said any more about the Cold Battle? Cold Battle had a rough trip.
Not in this. This is the probables right now, the top 10 probables, and that's the ones I'm seeing right now.
If I was Cold Battle, I'd want to run in one more because I think, look, I'm not saying he's live, but I'm telling you, dude, horse had a rough trip. Cold Battle had a rough trip.
Sandman's in there, finished 7th in the Derby. Did you watch Sandman's trip?
He didn't have the best trip. But I feel like the speed faded. So here's another factor that you got to, as you're trying to factor this, and you don't know, none of us know who moved up from the mud, who moved down from the mud. It was definitely a very muddy track.
It was mud.
Yeah, it was mud. Does Baeza look so good because he loves the mud? Did Sovereignty win because he loves the mud? Or is Sovereignty even better than we think he is because maybe he don't really like the mud but still won?
Yeah,
there's so many factors. So many factors.
None of the top players had seen any kind of slop like that.
That was a sloppy track.
So that was the first time most of the horses had even seen a track like that. So, yeah, it's questions that we're going to have to wait to be answered. Maybe Sovereignty was the best, and
could be.
Who knows? But
there could be a horse out there. Cold Battle could be the best horse, but absolutely hated the slop and had a rough trip. A lot of listen. You don't cancel it.
Maybe Owen Almighty was the best.
Right. You don't.
Owen Almighty got on the lead, and you said he finished, 5th?
I would bet him. Yep, I would bet him.
We was all thinking he was,
I ain't bred to go that far.
Yeah. And for being up on the, I want to say that he was
right there.
Yeah, he was
right there.
like 3rd or 4th.
He was right there.
Right out of the gate.
And he had no business to be hanging around 5th because everybody else was in the back. He really ran a very impressive race. A lot of people didn't like him because his breeding didn't say 1.25 miles, but he ran good in his races. But everybody thought he had, from his breeding, distance limitations. Sometimes they outlive their breeding, though.
I didn't have him in any of my bets, but on the episode last week, we kind of joked that he shouldn't even have been in the Derby. But I'll tell you what, after going back and digging into those last 10 horses, I thought he looked better than I thought last week when we did the show.
He was very competitive in those. It was his breeding when it threw everybody off. He's out of Speightstown, which is typically a miler. But sometimes you know, you can outlive your breeding.
So yeah, it was another successful Derby day. It took me all day, all week, but hit the big one, pegged the Derby on the head.
That's awesome, Charlie.
Last week on the show, my top 4 was I wrote it down right here. It was 1, 3, 8, 18. So it was 3, 8, 18, and I had Citizen Bull. But as soon as that 21 drew in, I ultimately just took Citizen Bull out. I kept my other 3 picks. I kept left Citizen Bull out, added the 21, 3, 8, 18, 21 super box. Bang, bang, baby. Let's go. Wish it would have paid 10 times more, but it's a winner. I'll probably never have another superfecta in the Derby. It's hard enough to get the winner or an exacta or even maybe a try. Super, I probably never have another one again, so I need to just enjoy it.
No, you do. You do.
And I am. I'm not greedy. I thought it was going to be more, but I am not greedy. It was awesome. It felt great. Felt great just to pick the winner. It really did. Like you said, I was focused on the winner. I wasn't focused on hitting the superfecta.
I think you're a good pick. I really believe you're a good pick. I've told you this was Final Gambit for 4 because I feel like the top 3 horses were the 3-8 horses. I know Baeza odds weren't, but I think most of your horse racing people, they were on them. I mean, a lot of people like those 3 horses as their top horses, but that Final Gambit was and believe it or not, Final Gambit was my first Derby horse. I got off from him because I just did not. He never ran on dirt. But I will say this. Final Gambit got like this push button move. Like it ain't push button. It's like a late kick, but he has like no tactical speed and he's bred for turf. That's kind of what turf horses do. He might be a superstar on the turf. I'm not saying I want to see him taking the turf, but I'm sure it's in the back of Brad Cox's mind.
Maybe they do.
Yeah.
You never know.
They've been running all of his races up to the Derby were synthetic, which is kind of in the middle, but your synthetic horses typically like turf a little more and they like dirt. But man, he got that big. That's how turf races are. They have that big closing kick. They go slow, and they just they really come home fast.
I'll be keeping an eye on Final Gambit too. He looked good too. Maybe just a little bit outclassed by the other 3, but I thought he ran a big race.
He did. If I was the owners, I'd be happy.
Heck yeah,
I'd be happy.
Especially first time on the dirt like that. And like you said, maybe they were initially gearing the horse towards maybe being a turf horse. And it just played out to where you get your shot at the Derby, you better take it.
Well, he was 17-1 in the Jeff Ruby. He was no favorite in the Jeff Ruby. That was the race that got him in. He run up Turfway. He wasn't doing no Derby preps. Jeff Ruby, Turfway's owned by Churchill now, so they give that race probably a few more points than what it deserves because they're trying to build it up. And he was 17-1 and won it. Brad Cox is a Derby guy. He was a local guy from around here. I know Brad Cox was like, I'm taking my shot.
I would.
Did Brad Cox have anybody else in the race?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think he had a couple more that got scratched. So he had Patch Adams, and he won the race after the Derby. He was on the Derby trail, and I think he had another one that might have got hurt. So anyhow, Tapan Street. So that's another one to remember. Tapan Street beat Sovereignty in the Florida Derby, which the reason I like Sovereignty is because Sovereignty had been closing at Gulfstream, and Gulfstream's such a speed favor in track, and for him to close from that deep, but he had just got second to Tapan Street, which Tapan Street sat closer to the pace. But Tapan Street's Cox's big horse, and he looked really good in that race. So that's another one that he had an injury before the Derby, scratched out. So that's another
intriguing horse. I told you I was kind of glad that horse dropped out, not because I didn't like him, because I did like him. I just didn't think he would be my top pick. So Tapan Street,
Is that Godolphin as Tapan Street?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't either.
Did Chad Brown have a Derby horse this year?
I'm not sure. I know he Ways and Means. I know he ran. I'm not sure. I don't think Chad Brown did have a Derby horse.
Ways and Means got beat.
Because he would have came out of New York. That's where Chad Brown. Maybe Florida. The 2 was the 2 was that one guy that I think's a cheater down in Florida. John Selfie or White Barrio, the druggie, the guy
about Safi.
Yeah, Safi. Yeah. That was the 2's trainer. Yeah, because he would have came out of New York. He might have came out of Florida. No, Tapan Street's owned by Windstar, which I like Windstar a lot. Tapan Street is out of Into Mischief, out of a Distorted Humor family down there. So he did one as maiden. He got second in the Holy Bull to Burnham Square, and he won the Florida Derby.
Well, another successful Derby.
Absolutely.
Another successful Derby. You said you had 3 Derby winners of all time.
Yep,
Who were they?
my Always Dreaming, and Thunder Gulch. Thunder Gulch, Always Dreaming.
Did you not have Justify that one year at my house?
I don't pick. No, I don't.
That was the COVID Derby.
I don't pick favorites. I don't mean that to be a smart ass.
No, was that Authentic or was
Yep, that was you.
Justify?
No, you had
That was
Authentic. Yep,
That was Authentic.
Yep, Rodriguez
Yeah,
is
man.
Authentic. Hey, another note
I
on
can't claim Authentic because I had like co-horses.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I was so up in the air. I forgot who the second one was. I had a win bet on Authentic, but I'm not going to claim Authentic as one of my Derby winners.
here's a note on Authentic. Rodriguez, if you like Authentic, if you like Rodriguez or, thinking about him, Rodriguez is out of Authentic. Authentic was kind of a late developer per se. He wasn't one of those guys that was really good as a 2-year-old and kind of came up out of nowhere, and he got better as time went on. He ended up winning the Breeders' Cup Classic. Not only that, but Rodriguez is actually a May birthday. Most horses are either born in January or February because every horse's birthday is January 1st. You don't want to have a horse's birthday on like December 30th. I've even heard things that they hide them out at the barn and don't say they were born to like January the 1st, because if so, you've wasted a whole year. So I've heard stories and read stuff like that. There's horses have been born like December 30th, but they don't make it, they don't announce it to January. I get it. But anyhow, Rodriguez was not born until May. He was going to be the youngest horse of the Derby by a decent amount. May 22nd. That's late to be born. So maybe a little bit behind in the being out of Authentic as well. So he might have still some developing to do, Rodriguez. That's an angle. Like, these are all the angles you use when you're trying to handicap. That's a handicapper's angle. You might think, okay, well, he went to the wood and he really showed himself at the wood. Was that him getting better, or maybe him just catching up in age? Or was it none of that? It can go either way. So, but that's handicapping for you. Just give you something else to confuse you with.
So on to the Preakness in 2 weeks. We'll keep everybody updated on what's going on the next couple weeks leading up to the Preakness.
You want to go to the Preakness?
I'm sure we'll be watching. I got a place for us to stay.
I would love to go there.
All we got to do is get tickets.
Dude, I would love to go.
Preakness and a plane ticket.
I would love to go.
Or we could drive. I got a place for us to stay.
Dude, I'd love to go.
And you could probably find tickets for.
Have you ever been to Preakness?
Dirt hole. Yeah, I have once. It's an absolute shithole.
It don't matter. It's historic.
But I was in the infield too, so I would like to go maybe in the grandstands.
I bet you it's fun that day, dude. I bet you it's a blast.
Sure, it is. I went when I was a lot younger. I was in the infield.
They got a cool infield there too, don't they? Don't they got a cool infield too?
Yeah,
it's probably still like ours.
Wild.
Ours used to be wild. Ours is not as wild no more because they didn't went corporate. It's still a little wild out there, but they want to make money off everything now. It's still wild, but when me and Charlie were kids, it was real wild.
The Derby infield is wild, but look, there's still a thing called Southern hospitality, and we got a little bit of it down here. Dude, you go to the infield at Preakness, you gotta watch out for getting blindsided by a knockout punch or something by just some dumbass.
Is that the guy from the Straggler?
Stragglers.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's probably there.
That dude was a knockout artist, dude.
So yeah, we'll keep an eye on what's going on here in the next couple weeks leading up to the Preakness. Cause all I know is Sovereignty better be in it.
Yeah,
got to run just for the sport.
Journalism got to come back after him. If I was journalism, I'd want some more of him. I'm not saying that he beats him or he don't, but if I'm, being competitive, I want another shot at him.
Yeah, we need to see those two for sure. I'm not seeing Baeza, so maybe Baeza's.
A lot of them skip it. Listen,
Baeza's waiting for the Belmont.
I'll be honest with you. If I didn't win the Derby, I'd skip it.
Baeza had some run in him, so yeah. I'd say maybe the Belmont would be a spot for Baeza.
What's a mile and a quarter this year? It's Saratoga.
The Belmont?
Yeah, the renovations. Last year in the year, it's a mile and a quarter this year.
The Belmont's not a mile and a half?
Not this year. It ain't at Belmont. They're having the renovations. Is that Saratoga? It's a mile. Right? It's a mile and a quarter this year. It's at Saratoga.
Preakness is usually what?
Mile 3/16. Mile 3/16. Which is just slightly shorter than the Derby.
I thought that was the one that they changed the distance of last year.
No,
was the Preakness
Belmont.
Was it?
Yeah, because it's not at Belmont. Belmont's going under a major renovation, like a 2-year.
And that's what's about to happen at Pimlico. From what I'm hearing, they're about to tear it down, I think, and build a whole new Pimlico.
They say that the Ravens Stadium Committee got a hold of it. They say they do a good job with everything. So maybe they'll have a band. Didn't you say the Ravens have a band?
Yeah, they do have.
I think a band's cool. Dude.
I'm surprised they're doing that to Pimlico, but good for them. You know, Laurel is a nice spot. I think that's where they're actually going to run the Preakness for the next couple of years while they
Need to stay at Pimlico.
Wow, yeah.
I don't care if it's in the hood or not. Churchill's kind of in the hood too.
Yeah, this is a little bit worse than
That's
that.
all right.
We need to go one year. Like I said, I got us a place to stay. We don't have to worry about a hotel or anything. We just got to get us some tickets and a plane ticket, or we can drive. I've made that 9-hour drive, but I could probably make it.
Two of us probably wouldn't be bad. We probably could switch off.
I can make that with my eyes closed. All right, well, that's it for the Derby. I know we went a little bit long, guys, but you know, it's Derby, man. It's Derby. I knew it was going to be a Derby heavy episode again, but it is what it is. We'll get into everything else as the weeks go on. We'll have plenty of time. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, NHL, both of them's down to the final 8. My Caps are still playing. That's all that matters. I said I was cheering for the Kings. They lost. Who gives a shit? Cheer for the Caps. And the NBA is now down to its final 8. Good matchups. I know I haven't watched much NBA, but Anthony, I'm about to dive into it now.
Knicks are up 1-0 on Boston.
The Knicks just won a little bit ago in overtime as we were doing the show. Knicks win. Go up. That was in Boston too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Won on the road in overtime in Boston. That's a big win for the Knicks there in game 1. The Knicks was my pick. Taking down Boston in game 1. Indiana leads the Cavs too. Indiana won last night, beat the Cavs. So both underdogs are up 1-0 in the East right now. And in the West, as we're sitting here, the Nuggets and the Thunder are playing. I think it's halftime right now, but the Thunder's up about 15 or so. I feel like that's going to be a good series, though. I like the Nuggets. I mean, the Nuggets have won a couple championships in the last few years. They've got Jokic, one of the best players in the league, Jamal Murray. This should be a good series. Let's see what we got. Second half just starting right here.
I'll say it's gonna be hard to beat OKC. I hope Denver does because I like Denver, but I think it's gonna be hard.
Yep, second half's just starting up 10. They're up 10. So I like that series. I like both of these series in the West. Timberwolves and Warriors, that's the 6 and the 7 playing each other. Timberwolves were in the finals last year, and you've got the Warriors that are still trying to hang on to their...
Joker's a problem.
Yeah, he is. So I'm going to be cheering for the Warriors to beat the Timberwolves. I'm cheering for Curry. Let's see one more run. I kind of got tired of them when they were in their 3 or 4 year stretch there.
Yeah, but they fell off. So
they did fall off, and now he's trying to bring them back for one more run. This series here, honestly,
I'll cheer for Denver, but I don't think they're going to win it. But I'll cheer.
I just want to see a good series. Really, I'm going to dive in here this week. I wish I'd have got to watch a little bit more of the Knicks and the Boston. I think that's going to be the best series.
I agree.
And of course, I picked the Knicks on the upset before the playoffs started. I know we've kind of skimmed through it pretty quick the last few weeks, but Derby takes up a lot of our time around here in Kentucky. But I'm pretty excited about some of these matchups, so I will be watching.
Real quick on a side note, in a situation, what have you done for me lately? Justin Tucker was cut by the Ravens.
Did they? I didn't see it officially, but I figured that was going to happen.
Man, such a good kicker in one bad year. Get you cut?
Well, I can tell you who's picking him up. It'll either be New England, so he can go hang out with his buddy Kraft, get him some more massages.
Dude,
or he's going to Cleveland to hang out with his buddy Deshaun Watson so he can get some more massage.
You'll never convince me that they didn't have dirt on him already. But when I feel like that's what people do now. Like they get dirt on you. They wait for you not to be good.
It's just cramped up, Anthony.
Oh yeah,
I just caught one.
That would have been funny. That would have been funny. Actually,
yeah, you would have probably loved that.
I would have.
I almost caught a stray.
Man, anyhow, guys, thanks for listening. As always, I know it was a Derby heavy week, but I appreciate you listening. And we'll have a lot of fun and exciting things coming up. Summer gets a little bit slow, but we'll keep it fun. We'll keep it interesting. We'll try to do some fun stuff. But
Yep, we got some ideas coming up.
Yep, we do. So, guys, as always, thanks for listening and tuning in.
Continue to check us out on all the streaming platforms. Make sure you like, subscribe, auto download on whatever streaming platform that you're listening on, and continue to share us. Tell somebody about us. We appreciate you guys. Blitz the Bookie. Catch you next week.
See ya.
Charlie got the mic, he's dropping facts all day. Anthony's like, nah, I got the better parlay. Argue about the spread, it's a fierce debate. But when it comes to Wildcats, they align their fate. Blitz the Bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. Late nights, hustle deals on the line. Charlie Scassy's gonna make you shine. Anthony's heart where the numbers combine. Put your cash down, ride the incline. Blitz the Bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. From the tip off to the final play, they grind. Mike's on fire, bets on their minds. Arguing odds till the last rewind. Blue and white, it's a bond you'll find. The Bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. Final play, they grind. Mike's on fire, bets on their minds. Arguing odds till the last rewind. Blue and white, it's a bond you'll find. Bond you'll find. Blitz the Bookies where the knowledge reigns. Charlie and Anthony bring the heat like flames. Talking parlays, breaking down the games. Kentucky Wildcats, they beat the same drums. Yeah.